Let's see.
You doing all right?
I am fine. How about yourself?
Great, great. Yeah. Eddie is here with the commission. Good evening. What's on? Good evening, everyone. The time is now 7:02. I want to welcome you to a regular session of the Durham County Board of County Commissioners. We will begin with the public charge. The Board of Commissioners asks that its members and citizens to conduct itself in a respectful and courteous manner, both with the board and fellow citizens. At any time, should any member of the board or any citizen fail to observe this public charge, the chair will ask the offending person to leave the meeting until that individual regains personal control. Should decorum fail to be restored, the chair will recess the meeting until such a time that a genuine commitment to the public charge is observed. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Are there any adjustments that anyone wishes to make to the agenda? Seeing that there are none, I will read several announcements. Duke Game Days. The library is pleased to partner with Duke Athletics for Library Game Days. Help us represent Durham County Library at the athletic events listed below. Show your Durham County Library card to get in free. Parking is also free. Only one person is admitted to the game per library card. If you come in a group, everyone needs to have their own library card. Need a Durham library card or a replacement to get into these free events? Please visit your nearest library to get a new one. Town hall meeting. Lead poisoning, still a problem, still preventable. Come help us plan next steps to stop lead poisoning on Thursday, October 25th from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at Durham County Department of Public Health on 414 East Main Street. Dinner will be provided. Spanish interpretation will also be provided. Please RSVP by October 23rd to be entered into a drawing for a door prize. Text or leave a message at 984-244-0106 or email peachdurham@gmail.com. What would Durham be like if young people had a say in our decisions? Come and find out. Kids Voting Durham, Youth Candidate Forum 2018, Durham District Court Judge candidates on Thursday, October 25th, 6:30 to 8:30 at Jordan High School at 6806 Garrett Road. All are welcome, but only youth get to ask the questions at this student forum. No preparation is required. Students will talk about what Durham District Court does and brainstorm questions in the first part of the session. Dinner and snacks provided. Free rabies vaccine event. The 4th annual rabies prevention event on October 27th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Eastway Elementary School at 610 North Austin Avenue. If you live in Durham County, bring proof of residency and your furry pals for a health exam, rabies vaccination, and microchip. Free collars, leashes, and pet ID tags. Save the date. Durham, North Carolina chapter of the Links Incorporated and Durham Crisis Response Center is hosting the Domestic Violence Forum. Shining a light on domestic violence on Saturday, October 27th at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Holy Cross Catholic Church at 2438 South Austin Avenue, Durham. Guest speaker is Kimma Motley, and it's free to the public. These announcements and others may be found on the Durham County website. I encourage you to go there and see what we have going on. Also, one last thing, we are in the midst of early voting. I would encourage everyone to go out and vote. You do not need an ID to vote. Early voting is until November 3rd. And we also have same-day registration. Now, if you want to register, you do need to bring your ID. but I would encourage all of our citizens to go and vote, and it is our civic duty, and I hope you would do that. Are there any other announcements? None? We have minutes from budget work session from May 22nd, budget work session May 24th, budget work session May 31st, budget work session June 4th, budget work session June 14th, regular session July 23rd, and work session for August 6th. What's the pleasure of the board?
Approval.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded that we accept the minutes. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. We have two ceremonial items at this time. Commissioner Reckow will read it.
Okay. Thank you. And I know Eddie Davis, our former city council member and city historian, is here to say a few words about this proclamation. Welcome, Eddie.
Thank you very much.
Durham Board of County Commissioners Proclamation, Bells Across Durham Day 2018. Whereas Sunday, November 11th, 2018, will mark the annual national observance of Veterans Day and also mark the 100th anniversary of the end of World War I. And whereas a century ago the armed conflict ended with the Armistice Treaty, signed in France between the United States and its allies on one side, and with Germany and its supporting nations on the other side. And whereas the treaty was signed at the 11th hour of the 11th day in the 11th month of 1918, and whereas this special time in history is referred to as Armistice Day, is celebrated in many parts of the world. And whereas November 11th is now designated as Veterans Day in the United States and is recognized as a federal holiday. And whereas the first monument erected on Durham's Courthouse Square was dedicated on November 11th, 1921 to the local soldiers and sailors who sacrificed their lives during World War I, and whereas in commemoration of Veterans Day and the 100th anniversary of the end of World War I, residents of Durham are asked to initiate a new tradition of peace by participating in a project called Bells Across Durham. And whereas houses of worship, civic and social groups, veterans organizations, and the entire community are invited to ring bells 11 times simultaneously at 11 a.m. on November 11th. Now, therefore, be it resolved, I, Wendy Jacobs, Chair of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, and on behalf of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim November 11th, 2018 as Bells Across Durham Day, and encourage all to learn more about the Bells Across Durham project and participate in the simultaneous bell ringing as a symbolic salute to Durham's military veterans, as well as the ongoing commitment to the resolution of conflict around the world, across our nation, and within our local community. This, the 22nd day of October, 2018, Wendy Jacobs, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Reckow.
Well, thank you. Oh,
Do you want to say a few words about
I would
this
like to-
very special day coming up?
thank you so much. Thank you so much for the reading of that proclamation and the granting of it. I want to make sure that everyone knows that we are having this project as a way, as Commissioner Reckow just read, to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the end of World War I. World War I wasn't called World War I then because we didn't think there would be a World War II. It was the war to end all wars. We were not successful with that, and we need to continue to work for peace and justice and freedom all over the world. So the concept of Bells Across Durham is to commemorate and to salute those people who served not only in World War I, but any conflict that we've had that has sent American troops to them, but also to make sure that we work hard to make sure, as we just heard, that there will constantly be a resolution of peace. We want to have those ringing of the bells in lots of different places. The November the 11th is on a Sunday, so there will be different kinds of activities, but that gives churches and other houses of worship the opportunity to ring bells during their services. If they have services during the 11 o'clock hour, that will be advantageous. If people have services at other times, perhaps they can ring those bells then. And maybe it won't be a bell, maybe it will be chimes, maybe it will be notes on some musical instrument, or let's beat a drum 11 times along the way. But the whole idea is to bring attention to the idea of peace around the world. There will be a program on the 12th at the Mangum Elementary School in Bahama. There will be a speaker from Raleigh, a gentleman by the name of Michael Hill, who is a Durham resident, who will be speaking there to talk a little bit about William B. Umstead, who was a World War I veteran, and the only person who actually was a resident of Durham when he served as governor. So we will try to combine lots of different things there, and hopefully we'll be able to have a good crowd. Bahama's really not that far away, so we can ride up there and see what things are going on in the countryside. Finally,
What time of day?
that's at 7 o'clock p.m. at Mangum Elementary School. Yes.
What was that day again?
That's on November the 12th, Monday the 12th.
7 p.m.
That's
at Mangum.
Mangum Elementary School in Bahama. And we're hoping that the religious community will really rally around that. And with me today is Reverend E. Victor Maffo, Reverend Dr. E. Victor Maffo, who is an associate pastor at Peace Missionary Baptist Church here in Durham. So we give you honor. So thank you so much for allowing me to come. Thank you so much for the earlier presentation that I made, and thank you for the proclamation that evolved from that. And I look forward to being able to keep you posted. I would ask that you look in the newspapers and other areas to keep up with the events that are going on here. And I really hope that Bells Across Durham is something that we can continue to do more than just in this centennial year for World War I, but we can do it every single year at Veterans Day to honor the troops as well as to continue our quest for peace.
Commissioner Recco?
Eddie, thank you so much for the short history lesson. It's amazing to think that Armistice Day was 100 years ago. I had a question. Will there be any type of ceremony out front at our World War I?
Well, we think that people who have commitments to church services will do it there, and other things that people may be doing on that day. We have suggested that the 12th, which actually is the federal recognized holiday, well, not holiday, but observance of Veterans Day, that we do that at 11 o'clock in front of the World War I memorial here on the Courthouse Square.
Thank you.
Commissioner Howerton?
Thank you. I just want to say thank you, Eddie, for being our historian. I don't think that's something that we've seen much of in Durham, so it's great to have you doing that, so appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much, and it comes from the city, but the city is in the county. So it's both Durham City and Durham County, so we want to make sure that we deal with events and activities countywide. In fact, this program that we have in Bahama is outside of the Durham city limits, but it's in Durham County.
Well, it's great, because one of the things that I heard this weekend from young people, we were talking about voting and the rationale to vote. And what they said was, why didn't you guys teach us this when we were in the 6th and 7th grade?
Hmm.
And rather than waiting until we complete college and try to educate us. So it's something that history is something that we need to be teaching our young people all.
Indeed, indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Davis, thank you for this. and
Well,
your-
thank you all very much. I really appreciate the welcome hospitality that you all have exhibited, and what more should I expect anyway? This is the Durham County Board of Commissioners.
But thank you, Mr. Davis, for this and your continued service to Durham.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Please come up.
Oh, yes, do I?
You should know how this works.
Great job.
Durham Board of County Commissioners Proclamation, Unity in the Community Health Forum 2018. Whereas Durham County strives to improve the quality of life across the lifespan through protecting the health of the community, reducing barriers to access services, and ensuring a network of integrated health and human services available to people in need. And whereas Durham County appreciates all of its community partners who raise awareness regarding the health disparities we continue to face. And whereas Durham County applauds Health and Human Services Deputy Secretary Mark Benton and the Health Committee of the Durham Committee on the Affairs of Black People and all of the organizations for taking an active stance in recognizing and addressing the important issue of healthcare in our community. And whereas Durham was truly blessed by the life of the late Dr. Sharon Elliott Bynum, and our community will truly be a richer place because of the many individuals that she and CARE team touch. Now, therefore, be it resolved, I, Wendy Jacobs, Chair of the Durham County Board of County Commissioners, and on behalf of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, do hereby recognize October 26, 2018, as Unity in the Community Health Day. In Durham County, North Carolina, I call upon all citizens to recognize the significance of this event and participate in all activities planned. This, the 22nd day of October 2018. Wendy Jacobs, Chair, Board of County Commissioners.
How you doing? Thank you so very much. I'm delighted to be here, but I want to share something with you, Commissioner Hill. That was our proclamation from last year, not the one that we got coming up this Friday, the Health Forum. So I didn't want to interrupt you. You sound so wonderful saying that. So I thought they may have something different there.
Okay.
It was the proclamation I'm speaking about deals with Dr. Brenda Estelle Armstrong that I'll be honoring. That's this year. That was 2017 proclamation that you all presented to me.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, I don't, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's supposed to have been for Dr. Armstrong.
But
Do you have a copy of that proclamation?
no, actually, she has mentioned to me, Commissioner, to come up here to pick it up this evening. So, what about inconvenience?
Okay. Well, I'm sorry about the confusion.
That's fine.
Maybe you could tell us a little bit about the Unity in the
I
Community.
want to tell you a little bit about the Unity Community Health Forum. First of all, my name is Jan Cromartie with the Durham Committee. Our forum will be this Friday at 1309 Halley Street over in West End. It's at Lions Park and Recreation Center. Our guest speaker will be Dr. Elizabeth C. Tilson, the State Health Director. We will be speaking and sharing conversation on diabetes. We will have our own Commissioner Brenda Howerton as one of our mistress of ceremonies. We will have Senator Floyd McKissick sharing a word with us, and we have a special appearance by one of our congressmen here, and a few other treats that I think you all will love. I want to share a few words about Dr. Brenda Stell Armstrong. I think many of you all may be familiar with her. She's from Rocky Mount, North Carolina. She was a pioneer, trailblazer, and one of the most respected doctors at Duke University. She passed away on October the 7th. Dr. Brenda Stell Armstrong, who is remembered for leading a long legacy of advocacy, inclusion, and service in the community and at Duke University School of Medicine, where she worked for more than 20 years. Despite living in Durham, Armstrong reportedly said in interviews that she was raised in segregated Rocky Mount and instilled with a desire to give back and help her community. Armstrong graduated from the former Booker T. Washington High School in Rocky Mount. United States Representative G.K. Butterfield, Democrat 1st District, was a childhood family friend of the renowned physician. America has lost a giant in the medical profession, Butterfield has stated. He said she will long be loved and remembered by her family, friends, patients, and students. Armstrong was the second black woman to become a board-certified podiatrist cardiologist in the United States. She was among the first black students to attend Duke University in the 1960s. During her first years, the university functioned as a desegregated institution. She was a great trailblazer, a pioneer, as many of you all know. She worked with the Durham Striders. We will be honoring them as well here at the Health Forum. And I look for many folk to come out this Friday because it's going to be a gala event. But I want to thank such a distinguished, dynamic, celebrated group of commissioners that I've been knowing many years, and I feel truly blessed to be receiving this proclamation from you guys and everything. So I'll be smiling heavy when I come out of here because I've always thought extremely well of the folk sitting behind those in those chairs up there. Again, I want to thank you guys. I want to see you guys Friday at the Durham Unity and Community Health Forum 2018, and I look forward to seeing you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carney. Commissioner Howerton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Cromartie, just an oversight that we didn't get that to you, and I'm sure we will still get something to you. This Dr. Armstrong has been a very important person in this community for many, many years, and her contributions can never be forgotten. And there will be a service. I think is the service tomorrow, or is it?
Tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow? There's a service for her at Duke on tomorrow. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of people attending that service for her. But thanks for Cromartie for lifting her up. Thank you.
Thank you. We've now come to our consent agenda. What is the will of the board?
Mr. Vice Chair, could I just ask a question about one of the items?
Sure.
So I sent an email today about the 18-1082. I fully intend to approve this contract. But I would like to understand just a little bit better what it is that we're purchasing with the $134,462. And I talked a little bit to Mo. Thank you, Mo, for trying to explain offline to me right before the meeting. But I guess my real question centers around the fact that the contract seems to lay out a scope of work that involves much more than just the architectural and engineering design services that I think is what we're paying for. And I just don't understand, why there would be 8 different phases saying that this is what they're going to do for us, but we're only paying for a much smaller portion of those services.
So the contract that we would be entering in with HDR would be for master planning. And in the master planning process, they will come up with two to three options for a consolidated site for the board and the community to vet through. They'll also do community outreach with regards to the strategies that are coming up for the Northern District for convenient site operations, and they would do a survey and get information that we could use to actually come up with a full-blown strategy eventually to go into working drawings, construction drawings, and construction administration. The contract that we provided you in the package is the boilerplate contract that we have for all architectural engineering services. And if granted the opportunity to enter into contract, we will modify that based on the scope of work that is presently presented as part of their work right now, which is basically the master planning effort.
So does that mean then that you would actually remove multiple sections? Trying to pull it up real quick.
Correct. There would be some of those services that you see in the standard boilerplate that wouldn't be performed at this time. In the future, if we move ahead with the project with regards to consolidating the site and going into actual design construction of those schematic plans that would be presented to you, then we would enter into contract at that time for those design services and construction administration services.
It just seems odd that we're approving a contract that's not actually the contract. I don't know.
I have to say, I was just saying to the clerk, this is something that I actually haven't read yet, because when I looked at the agenda over the weekend, this wasn't there. And I think it got added maybe first thing this morning, and I was out most of the day, and so I just missed it. I'm sorry to say.
Well, of course, will defer to my fellow board members and to you and your experience with
Yes,
these
ma'am.
things. It just seems odd to me that we wouldn't have the contract that actually lays out the specific services. Well, let me ask another question then, because there was a part that was left blank. Will that also be pulled out, or will that be filled in? I mean, I don't want to approve a contract that has a blank line in it.
This contract is a not-to-exceed amount, and so therefore additional services would not be, there would not be a fee with regards to additional services, because this is a set amount for the engineer to actually perform.
Okay, so and then that page 23 about the additional services compensation is just not applicable.
That would be stricken, that's correct.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. I'll probably follow up
Surely.
later with, not necessarily with you, but with somebody about the contract.
Sure.
It's unusual to me.
And I'm sensing some angst among my peers.
Well, I'm just quickly catching up. I do think in the future, if something gets added after the original, I guess an email was sent out today, but I just didn't have it to read all my emails. I was on the go, so.
So Commissioner, what this request was is to hire the architectural engineer that would help us look at other strategies for the northern consolidation of the solid waste sites, help us to do community outreach and communications with the community with regards to those options, come up and design some alternatives that we can do with regards to operating the northern sites more efficiently and get out of a lease situation and hopefully property that the county could actually own themselves.
And my understanding was that it will come back to us again.
Most definitely. You come back not only to the community several times, but also to the board.
That was my understanding.
But we are approving the contract tonight.
For
Yeah,
the
for
design.
what-
That's for the
For what she
consultant
said,
services
yeah,
to help us
what she
get a
said.
design
It's not within
option
the
for you.
contract.
Yeah.
Well, I will support it. It looks reasonable. And in the future, though, I would request that if something's changed the day of the meeting, please either call or text us so that if we're on the go and miss an email, we won't miss knowing that there's something that we need to attend to during the day. Thank you.
Of course, this would be a much easier task for staff if we had an extra work session, if we had one more work session with one more
She's
opportunity.
going to plug that in anyway.
I think it's really true. I
That
think-
wouldn't have helped this tonight, Heidi.
Yes, it would have, because it would have been in a work session where we could have fully
We're not-
vetted it.
We're not going to debate that one.
Well, actually, it wasn't on the regular session because of that. It was on wasn't on our original agenda according to the clerk because that was off for another reason.
Right, and it might have come on to the work session,
No.
following this one we're having next week or whatever. I'm just saying, if there's two opportunities for work sessions, that gives staff more opportunity to
Okay.
get the work to us so we can fully vet it and review it in advance of votes.
So we got you plugged.
Move approval of consent agenda.
Okay.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, state with aye.
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 All those opposed? And it passes. Thank you. We now come to our public hearing for the 2019 reappraisal schedule of values. Are there any citizens scheduled to speak? Madam Clerk? I will now open the public hearing. And that there are no citizens scheduled to speak and no one is rising to speak. I will now close the public hearing. Thank you. Moving on.
Do we need to do anything else on that? I was wondering if we could just have our tax administrator come up and brief the community about important date, in the reval.
So there's no action to be taken on this, right?
So currently, the schedule of values, the public hearing tonight with no one. I did have a couple of emails, so I have responded to those and haven't heard anything back in regards to any further concerns on the schedule of values. So the schedule of values will become effective in November once the board has fully adopted the schedule of values. I think it's the November 13th meeting for that to occur. The public relations team and I are working on several opportunities for us to speak with the public about the reappraisal. One of those occurred a couple of weeks ago, and we are going to be full force. I think I sent out thousands of emails today letting the public know that I was available for specific organizations. The schedule of values that we adopt will be processed, and all values will be sent to the public January the 30th. And at that time, then it'll be open for an opportunity to appeal. We are working with the library system. In 2016, if you'll remember, we had informational meetings that we set up for the public. We had about 500 informational meetings in 16. So we hope to get the word out again to allow individuals to come and speak with us in February about any questions they may have before their appeal. We have worked very hard to modify our appeals module, so we hope that the public will find the appeals module to be a whole lot easier to use for the 2019 reappraisal. So I plan to send out a letter to all citizens in November with several brochures, one including the opportunity for them to understand more about the elderly exemption programs, because they would need to make application in January through June. So currently that's what we have been up to, and look forward to hearing any of the citizens' concerns. If they did not appear tonight and they do have questions, I do encourage them to email our office or call our office at 560-0300 and ask to speak with me or any of our appraisal team, and we'll be glad to answer any questions we can.
Thank you, Ms. Simpson.
Thank you, Kim. And I just wanted to say that I saw one of the inquiries. It came to all the commissioners, and your response was incredibly thorough. In fact, I thought I knew a lot about the process, and I learned more just reading it, because it was incredibly thorough. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Then we'll have regular business. Introduction to the 2020 census. We have Miss Lori Mccleary. Oh, hey Deborah, how are you?
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
It's my pleasure to bring forward Mrs. Laura Mccleary, who will be working with us this year to begin the planning process for the 2020 census. It is already in process. I was telling her that I attended a conference last month, ICMA, and there was a very robust information session about the census and how important it is. And of course, we know its importance. It's about representation, it's about jobs, it's about dollars. So at this point, I would like to bring forward Laura Mccleary and her team, who will give you an overview of this coming period's census work, what they need from us to be successful. And I'll also let you know that my point person on my team to work with them is Dion Hines. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, Ms. Mccleary.
Thank you. And thank you, Ms. Craig Way, for having me today. And I'd like to thank also your county manager, Mr. Davis, who met with me a month or so ago, and well, it was in August, as a matter of fact. And to thank all of you, Mr. Hill, and the rest of the commissioners and the community for allowing us to be here tonight to talk to you about the 2020 census. I have with me tonight Mr. Terry Henderson, who is a partnership specialist along with me for the state of North Carolina. Right now, we're the only two partnership specialists that are working in this area to promote the census. And we also have Ms. Blundell Peterson, who is our recruiting manager, which is paid. She's recruiting all over the state by herself. So we need help in that area as well. I'm sharing with you, and you will be provided a folder tonight that actually tells a story as to where we are right now. In your folder, you will receive the 2020 Census Design, which talks about how we start the census with geography, and we actually end it with geography. And in this packet that you have, it is information in reference to the partnership programs that we have. And that's the place where we are placed as partnership specialists, is to create partnership and form complete count committees across the state of North Carolina. Just as information, we have already met with the governor, and the governor has agreed to work and form a complete count committee at the state level. excuse me, and of course, at the second level, we work with the county managers, and we've already met with over 49 county managers in the state of North Carolina. And Mr. Davis and his staff was gracious enough to meet with us. And of course, when we meet with the county managers, we go in with several asks. And several of the things that we asked for, he has already provided us with, which was the opportunity to speak before the commission, which was one. And we also asked for a liaison to work with us. And Ms. Hines has been the designated liaison to work with us. And she has also attended the training that was held here in Durham a month or so ago. And one of the other things that we ask is that you consider putting funds in your budget to assist us in promoting the census just in Durham County. So, and I like to share information about us asking in years past and how we were encouraged to ask other counties, because Gaston County in 2000 put in about $10,000 or $15,000. And when I used to drive through Gaston County, I would see all these billboards and these flashing lights and these people wearing T-shirts, but they actually engaged the community through a complete count committee in making sure that the community was educated about the importance of the census. So we have a flyer in here about the complete count committee that you can read as well. We also have questions from time and time again about people that are experiencing homelessness and how we count them. We have this also included in the folder. We have a list of 50 ways that the census data is used. And of course, we have a data specialist for the state of North Carolina. Every year, there is so many dollars put back in the communities across the United States. Since 2010, we're placing $679 billion back into the communities across the United States. The state of North Carolina receives $16 billion and will receive it until 2020. And of course, because North Carolina has grown rapidly, we know that there will be more dollars available for us. We also have in your packet Counting for Dollars, which is an indication of the dollars that are being distributed across the state and for each person that actually is counted. And we're talking about counting each person only once across your county. The county receives $1,623. We need to educate our community about this fact. So we are we're undercounting our kids, and we're undercounting the African American community, and we're also undercounting the Hispanic communities across the United States. So we are trying to get to those individuals, and that's why we are asking and have asked for the formation of the Complete Count Committee. The Complete Count Committee is comprised of trusted voices across your community. This is the committee that Ms. Hines is working with, and we have training packets here for her tonight. They've already started working on a list of people they like to share the various committees, and this committee is comprised of community leaders, the clergy, the school, the business community, the HBCUs, and what have you. But we're asking them to come and be trusted voices that would encourage and educate people about the changes that are being made across this county. Now, in 2000, we also have listed in your folder the response rate for 2000 and for 2010. In 2000, the response rate for Durham County was 74%, and that's the response rate for the mailbag. For North Carolina, it was 69%. So you did better than North Carolina did in 2000. For 2010, the response rate was 76% for the state of North Carolina, And for Durham County, you all did 74%, so you were a little bit under the response rate for the county of Durham. We know that you probably are aware of all of this information, but we need for you to educate your constituency about this, about the census and the importance of it and the dollars that are received. On this counting for dollars, if you look at it, the majority of the dollars that come to your county comes through the county. The people that are being serviced through the county, those dollars come through the funds that are distributed from the federal government. So we're asking that you educate people about this. The most exciting thing that's happening for us is that everyone will be able to go online. And of course, this is in the information that you received on your agenda tonight, because they can go online, they can go into their phone, they can go to any place that there is internet to fill out the form. They will be receiving a card in the mail. They will receive that card 4 times that will have a number on it. And they can go in online and put that number in and fill out that form online. If they don't do that, we also have a call center that they will call to. And the last resort, of course, would be us knocking on the doors. And we want to make sure that the people are educated about that. We also have a data wheel. We do a lot of data services, and if you look at the sheet that I have in your packet in reference to the other data services that we provide, but this little wheel just tells you what's going on across the United States, in each state, about the total population, as well as the broadband services that are available in the states. So this is a nice little packet that we have.
Awesome packet.
No, we're going to pass that out to you.
I'm sorry, okay.
Yes, I'm sorry. We have them here. You
No,
can-
no rush, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
I just thought I was missing something.
Okay. And
Thank you.
we wanted to wait to pass it out, because oftentimes when we pass out these packets, people like that little data wheel, and we can't keep their attention to share this information. So we tried to hold out on passing those out. Now, but at this time, the most dire need that we have are for people to apply for the jobs. We're trying to get applications on at least 2 million people for the census. They can work through 2020, September of 2020. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Blundell Peterson, who is our recruiting manager for this area and for the state of North Carolina, and she's going to share some information with you. And I asked Terry if he wanted to speak tonight, but he said that he will just observe. So we'll just let him observe and pass the packets out.
Thank you very much for your time this evening. I also have a handout for you. It's a news release that we sent out on September 24th. And basically, it just outlines that the Census Bureau is recruiting thousands of workers for temporary jobs available nationwide in advance of the 2020 census. And so that's where we are now, in the early recruiting stages. The 2020 Census Jobs website allows applicants to apply for a range of positions, including recruiting assistants, office operations supervisors, clerks, census field supervisors, and census takers. The positions will be located across 248 area census offices nationwide and offer flexible hours, as Ms. Mccleary said, including daytime, evenings, and weekends. What that means for North Carolina is that we will open 40 local census offices across the state, the first of which will be located in Raleigh, the second of which I believe will be in Durham. That means an entire office staff will need to be recruited. The area, and thank you, Ms. Mccleary, but I'm actually one of 2 recruiting managers in North Carolina, but I do have 2/3 of the state as an area of recruitment, and each of these counties we need at least, as a minimum, to recruit around 348 people. That does not mean that 348 will be hired in each of these counties, but we need a 5-to-1 ratio in order to meet the need, to allow for fallout and those who may secure other jobs and no longer be available. I believe that is the gist of what I needed to share with you. We would appreciate your putting our announcement on your website. We're relying heavily on that, and that's has helped us a great deal. And just any way that we could get the word out
Vice Chair,
throughout the state.
I have a quick question.
Commissioner Howerton.
Would you repeat how people get hired? Is it just online?
Yes, ma'am.
They just have.
It is online. www.2020census.gov/jobs.
Okay.
There's a short assessment, a few questions. In total, it takes about 20 minutes to complete. And they would then go into an applicant pool, and we would match their skills to the jobs that we have available at this time. Right now, the job that we really need to fill first is the recruiting assistant position. And I neglected to mention that the pay rate in North Carolina is $15 to $22 an hour, and which is very, very competitive, and that was intentional. And but the recruiting assistants are sorely needed to help us to recruit for all of the other positions that we'll need to fill, primarily in the local census offices, and then subsequently as we begin to hire the census takers to go door to door if necessary.
Okay. Thank you.
Could you
Mr. Rickau.
provide the dates or approximate time frame that people will have these jobs? When do you aim to hire, and how long will the job last?
Actually, the recruiting assistant position, we began making calls and making some selections for that position today. And I'm not sure how long that will continue, but as we move further in the operation, and Mr. Henderson is just wonderful at explaining the process itself and the timeline.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I guess I will. It's a very simple process that you go through online, that you can actually take the assessment and fill out the application on a smartphone or either on an iPad or laptop or a desktop computer. It will take, as Blundell said, about 20 minutes. I think the hardest part is getting through the password portion, which is 12 characters, upper lowercase. I believe that's the most challenging part, but it took me about 20 minutes to do. But it's really designed for any American to access it who would want to be employed. Now, our challenge is that the employment rate is very low at this, and it varies from county to county. But Blundell has a great task of advertising, of getting the word out there, and that's why we need the help of the public of announcing that. We also like to add that the hours for working for the Census Bureau is very flexible. That's why we encourage college folks, people that, is oftentimes said, if people want looking for a part-time job or a side hustle, it's something that you can do, and the pay is very good for what the persons will be doing for us. The other jobs, to your point, the other jobs that, such as enumerators, we'll be hiring the bulk of those folks in the June timeframe to do address canvassing. Then someone would ask, well, then why are you hiring them now? Well, there's a lengthy background process. As you know, you could have a series of candidates, and some may fall out. They may want the position now, but later on they will not. In my particular area where I live in Cumberland County, the unemployment rate among military spouses is about 16%. And even though a single parent or a military spouse may have this particular work condition right now, it may change in June. So even though they may take the application or go through the assessment process now, situations can change. And so everywhere we've gone, speaking about these jobs, we always get asked that particular question: why are you hiring or asking us to fill out the application now, and you're waiting to hire those people in June? Well, it's a great task to hire 3 to 4 million people to count 340 million people in the nation. And that's what the census does. It's almost the greatest mobilization of human resource power in the world, actually, that we do at every decennial. So it is a great task, and we really need your help in getting the word out to accomplish that great task.
And it is a great task, and it really needs to be accompanied by tremendous outreach and communication about the importance of filling out the census. So I know Deborah will work with you. In the past, I think we've even had county campaign committee. I think I served on one.
Yes. Yes,
So you're
we will be forming
forming
those
one of those.
complete count committees. Of course, your county manager has already agreed to that. And then I will be serving at the present time as an advisor, a resource advisor to that committee, go through the training with them, all of that. And hopefully this will not be the last time that you see me.
And I would challenge everyone in Durham, let's bump it up a little bit. We were just a hair under the state average in 2010. Let's aim to get over the state average. So we need to step it up. You know, so many money streams are tied to population. And so it's very important that we get a good count, because that affects distribution of monies for the upcoming decade into our community. And so the better count we get, the better we will be financially. And it's just important that we get a good sense of who's living where and can plan better for the future. So I hope that we will be as diligent about the census as we need to be. And as I say, let's aim to be up at the top half in the state, not the bottom half.
Exactly. Thank you.
Manager
Oh, yeah,
Davis.
there's a whole list of the grants in here that are tied to the census.
Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I just wanted to say to the board, we will be coming back with a budget amendment, basically to put some monies aside to make sure that we've got as robust of marketing program and strategy to do push notifications and things of that nature, so that we'll be ready to get our numbers up. Thank you.
This is very timely. I was driving here today and heard on the news that the governor had signed an executive agreement, an executive order to start a committee for the census. It meets tomorrow. So we'll see what those 24 individuals have to say. And also the governor is pressing us to try to count our military folks well. We know that oftentimes people in the African American and Latinx communities are overlooked. We know particularly at this time with the current administration, people in the Latinx community are through a period of concern about talking to people who are knocking on their doors from government, but we hope that everyone in Durham will take part. It's vital, like we said, for funding and for representation. Thank you very much. We now vote on board and commission appointment. Madam Clerk. Thank you.
Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board, have the results of your voting for appointments to the various boards and commissions. To the Adult Care Home Community Advisory Committee, you could select 2 individuals, and you've selected Tamario House and Vicky Winters. For the City County Appearance Commission, you could select 1 person. You selected Charles Douglas. For the Dangerous Dog Appeal, you could select 1 person. You selected Terry Hill. For the Durham Convention and Visitors Bureau, you could select 1 person. You selected Caesar Swift. For the Durham Technical Community College Board of Trustees, you could select 1 person. You selected Jeff Durham. For the Durham Wake County's Research and Production Service District, you could select 3 individuals. You selected Robert Oles, Michael McBriarty, and Stephanie McDougall. For the Industrial Facilities and Pollution Control Financing Authority, you could select 3 persons. You've selected Rama Darba, Eric Edwards, and Indranil Ghosh. For the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, you could select 1 person. You selected Jessica Uba. For the Nursing Home Community Advisory Committee, you could select 1 person. You selected Amanda Wire Gertzog. For the Transportation Advisory Board, you could select 1 person. You selected Milton Gilder. For the Women's Commission, you could select 1 person, and you've selected Michelle Laws. Those are your results.
You can turn this out. Thank you. Any other business or comment? Motion to,
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.